Now, I'm going to share my screen after I go over this, and I'll give you a real example of a blue ocean strategy I took to an app that I created called Briefs, and to give you more insight on how you can really spread the market. Now, it doesn't have to be an app, but this is what I like to do personally. So I had a text exchange with an athlete I was working with at a track and field team, a D1 track and field team, and they're about 6 hours away from where I live in South Florida. So obviously I'm not there physically. So we would do remote. So this athlete was sent to me, and I was trying to set up time to meet with him. And as you see the bubbles, the dates start at April 7th. We don't actually meet to April 10th. So about 4 days of back and forth, 12 messages just to schedule one session. I'm sure we've all dealt with this, whether you're a strength coach, whether you're a sports site. Scheduling is a big deal because you gotta be there or be available to do it. Now, this is something we've all probably experienced. And in this case, we were able to get in eventually. It was a great session. He was a little resistant because his coach sent him there. He was like, "Hey, my coach said to see you. I don't even know why I'm here." And we turned the session around and made it work. But basically, momentum can be lost and you don't even get to it. I've had times where it didn't get anywhere because of this. So I was like, okay, AI. Now, AI has a lot of flack, and I know those out there watching may have some issues with it, but for the most part, AI is very helpful if you use correctly. So I said, how can we use AI to help alleviate, not necessarily replace, but alleviate things for us to do our sessions? So there's a study that I cited in my research to build this app that talked about ChatGPT being one of the largest mental health support in the United States. Meaning most people are going to this to ask questions, problems, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but obviously there's some problems with that. So it said 80 in the study, these are some tidbits, but it said 82% want AI to reduce stress and time management friction. So that's exactly what we dealt with in this exchange, time management. We couldn't get it going. 71% want emotionally intelligent responses. So typically a human's going to be the best for that. So at most, you can get some kind of emotional intelligence from the AI, but it's not going to be all there. So another one was a big barrier of getting started. Usually it's money. Usually it's time, obviously. Usually it's just getting in the door. So therapy is typically slow because you're meeting maybe once a week, or mental coaching sessions, you're meeting once a week, maybe twice. Chatbots, they can be too generic because while they can give some insight, it's going to be limited. And then clinical routes, depending on how far you need it, that might be hard to access to because just stigma. So Briefs is our app. So that was the bridge the gap. So you can get AI responses that we train through our coaches that are on Mind Body One's team. It's subclinical, so it's more for performance and stress management rather than psychology. So I took that approach partially because of that. But on the other side, what Briefs does, you get actual coaches, like real-time people, to come to you via the app and bite-sized messages, like on a social media. Like if you were going TikTok, you have someone probably already talking to you about mindset, mental health, sports psychology, strength and conditioning, fitness, whatever it is, right? This is one right here. She's a psychologist, but there's people who are strength coaches, PhDs in kinesiology, occupational therapists, physical therapists, whatever. They're doing the same thing in their respective industries, right? Social media is king. So I was like, why don't we take the aspect of parasocial relationships where you don't necessarily get a message from me, Nicholas Davenport, or someone on my team, and it's to you. It's more so you're getting a video relative to your content, or not content, but to your issue or what you need help with. That way it's curated for you without being so specific. That's why the term parasocial I love, because it forms relationships that we're going to do online anyway, because most people watching this met me through online. Some met me in real life at conferences, but basically you get that parasocial response to it. So I'm going to share my screen with the actual Briefs app so you can see how it works. So you have two options: get a brief or brief a coach. You get 30 monthly briefs. That's the AI responses. And you get 5 brief a coach. So that's the human responses. So essentially you get 35 touches. So that's A little more than one a day, right? Most months are 30, 31 days of some type of interaction. Now, it's not simply a conversation. I didn't want it to be dragged out in a way where you're just going back and forth. It's one response. So I'm gonna use an example. Let's use a sports psych example. So we have a feature called pre-brief, which you give context to your situation as you are day to day, but you can take it off. So I submit it. So it gives me some interventions to do while I'm waiting for it to load. You can do box breathing. You can do a Stroop task where you can read the color, not word, as fast as you can. Perspective prompts. If my stress had a voice, what would it say? And you would type in what it says. So it gives you something to do to interact while loading, because these are things we're going to talk about anyway, right? People talk about box breathing. That's why I put more conventional things in there. So it's doing more than just saying, oh, this is an AI chat bot that's going to just give me a conversation. So once it's done, I go to view results. So it gives me my brief, which is a quick insight to what just happened. So it gives me that. It gives me a FAST, which is a functional actionable skill. So it gives me a post setback recovery plan, and I can follow that. And then it gives a curated video from our site that may apply to it. Now, if they feel the brief was maybe not enough, instead of going through a chat back and forth for days, you hit rebrief and you can resubmit more context and maybe help you. And you submit that, and then basically it'll reshape this to that, but it ends after that. So you get one redo to maybe get more clarity. But for the most part, the goal isn't to linger on, keep going back and forth, right? And then if you want to share it with the community, so kind of like social media, it can be shared for 24 hours. And obviously they share what's not too personal to them. It's up to them, but they can choose to. They get a warning message so they don't accidentally do it. And they share it for 24 hours so the whole community can see it, because social connected, right, is a big part of mental performance, right? So yeah, so it has other features such as a weekly brief that comes from our team, where it's just a curated video that's about 2 minutes long that they can view. Has the events to meter, where you can share something that's on your mind, let it out for a minute max, and once you share it to yourself, no one else, you can reflect on it, hear it again. And if you need some insights, it'll give you some insight, but after 24 hours, it disappears. So you let it out. A lot of people like to vent, so we made that. And then if you brief a coach, you get all those features, but then it comes to us and we'll send a 1 minute max video back to you, relevant to kind of curate your thoughts from a mental performance perspective. So to get to my whole point, I'll stop this screen. Hold on. That was a blue ocean strategy I came up with because I was like, these are definitely things that are already happening in the industry, right? And that app can be scaled to be used with any population in our field. It can be used with a team. It can be used with a practitioner on their own. So it just makes it more easier and asynchronous to connect with your clients, right? So that's one of my biggest. I've been investing a lot in that last year too. But basically, when it comes to the whole blue ocean approach of how do I get to something that's going to be separating me from others, but still be relevant? Because I think a lot of times people get caught up in well, I don't want to do all that, like an app or this. It could be simple as a course, right? It doesn't even have to be that next level. I don't even want to use the word not next level, because I think any type of innovation is helpful because it's one step further than what my client or population or populations could get, right? So the whole premise is, how do I fill in the gaps and be in that market away from everyone else? So I'm not fighting with I'm not against red ocean strategies, because obviously to some degree I still do it, because I still do one-on-one consults, or my company does. But basically, I have the blue ocean side. I've had a lot of those projects myself, but it's about giving that ability to be a differentiator.